Welcome to Richplanet TV. I'm Richard D. Hall, and today I'm in Ireland. I finished my speaking tour in Ireland on Saturday, the 2nd of June, and it's now the 4th of June, and I've extended my trip because Muad Dib very kindly asked me if I would come and see him on Sunday, and we spent some time together and we watched 7/7 Ripple Effect 2. And so, as I say, I've extended my trip so that we can do an interview with Muad Dib. Now then, Muad Dib, welcome to the show first.
Thank you very much for having me.
And if we take your life from the London bombings of 2005, because that is an event which has effectively changed your life. They occurred in July 2005, and you made a film giving your account of what you think occurred you brought that film out in November 2007.
Correct.
Which got some very good responses. You exposed a lot of the lies that the government have been spinning, and basically prove that, and it's been proved in other films and in other research, that the alleged bombers were completely innocent and were patsies set up to take part in a terrorist training exercise. And the film has had, I think, according to Alex Jones, millions of views online. Now, tell us about this Kingston trial. We'll briefly go through the history of what has happened to you to bring you to this June 2012. What happened? There was a trial where they were trying to convict some friends of these alleged bombers.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
If you take it from there, briefly, what you did when you found out the information in that trial.
Yeah, there were three friends of the alleged four bombers, excuse me, and they were put on trial for, they were accused of doing a hostile reconnaissance work in preparation for the other four to carry out the bombings of 7/7, 2005. And they were put on trial in Kingston Crown Court in 2008. And it was reported in the media that the judge had, in jury selection, had said to the prospective jurors, out of whom they were going to pick 12, that of course they know that Mohammed Siddiqui Khan, Shahzad Tanweer, Jermaine Lindsay and Hasib Hussain carried out these attacks. And it's outrageous for him to do that, because they were never tried in a court. There has been no proper inquiry into it. There is no proof that would stand up in court that could convict them of that. So with the presumption of innocence that we've always had in English law, it was outrageous for the judge to make that claim. And he was already poisoning the minds of the prospective jurors before they were even selected.
So you tried to introduce some evidence that you had discovered in your film by sending that to the judge and the jury foreman.
Yeah, well, it gets worse than that, because Neil Flewitt, QC, the prosecutor, on the first day of the trial, after the jury had been selected, lied to the jury and told them that there was no doubt and no dispute that Mohammed Siddiqui Khan, Shahzad Tanweer, Jermaine Lindsay and Hasib Hussain had carried out the attacks. And no doubt, I mean, millions of people doubt that they carried it out. I had made my film and it had been released into the public domain 6 months prior to him making that statement. Okay, and my film, to every open-minded person, my film proves that they were innocent. So him saying there was no doubt, no dispute that they carried out, it was an absolute lie. So he was lying to the jury. The judge had already poisoned them, and then the QC on the first day of the trial was committing perjury. And effectively they were trying to pervert the course of justice.
Okay, now after that, the BBC were asking you to take part in their Conspiracy Files programme.
7/7, yes. Conspiracy Files 7/7.
You gave them conditions for appearing in their documentary about 7/7.
Yes.
Just spell out what those conditions were.
I agreed to take part in their programme with two conditions. The first condition was that they would show my film unedited, the film 7/7 Ripple Effect, unedited on primetime television. Okay, and the second condition that I gave them was that I would have final editing rights on their Conspiracy Files 7/7 program before it went out, because I don't trust the BBC.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
Now, once you'd said, these are my conditions, and they obviously weren't happy with that, they wouldn't agree to that.
No, they refused to agree.
They then actually came over to Ireland
Yes.
to try and get you on camera to
Yeah.
to basically try and debunk you. And we'll just take a look at the clip when they've approached you in Ireland.
Ireland. The search for the man behind 7/7 Ripple Effect has brought us here. From the town of Kells, Muad Dib has waged a propaganda war to win Britain over to his distorted vision of reality. We can reveal Muad Dib is John Hill from Sheffield.
John Hill, BBC Conspiracy Files. Can I ask you why you've made a film accusing innocent people of mass murder on 7/7 with no evidence at all? Can I ask you why you're ignoring the huge weight of evidence against the 4 men blamed for the 7/7 bombings? You have made a film which is damaging trust in the British government and is undermining community cohesion in Britain. Is that your intention, Mr. Hill? Mr. Hill, why do you hide behind the name Muad Dib?
Taking his name from a science fiction film, Muad Dib, John Hill believes the Ark of the Covenant is buried nearby under the hill of Tara.
Okay, so that's the BBC tactics at work there. And,
Yeah, despicable.
Despicable. Now,
Can I just point out why I didn't answer them on camera when they tried to trap me?
yeah,
First of all, the questions that they asked were beneath contempt, and absolutely evil, loaded questions, and there is no way that, you know, I treated them with the contempt that they deserved. I ignored them and walked past them. But the other reason also was the fact that I had categorically refused to cooperate with them because they would not meet my conditions. So that is why I walked through them and didn't answer any of the questions, because I'd already told them months in advance that unless they met my conditions, I would not take part in their program. And then they, against my wishes, they had come to Ireland and they had stalked everything.
Well, actually, I've come to Ireland to stalk Muad Dib, so here's my version of the hit piece. The search for the man behind 7/7 Ripple Effect has brought us here, to the town of Kells. So we're going to do exactly what the BBC did. We're going to wait outside his house until he comes out the door, and then we're going to pounce on him. John Hill, Richplanet Conspiracy Files. Can I ask why you have made a film accusing guilty people of mass murder on 7/7 with lots of evidence? Can I ask why you have highlighted the huge weight of evidence that proves the 4 men blamed for the 7/7 bombings were innocent? You have made a film which is damaging what little trust is left in the British government and is promoting community cohesion in Britain. Is that your intention, Mr. Hill?
Yes.
So I hope that's illustrated to people just how despicable their behaviour was.
Yeah, because the one that you've done is how they should have done it.
Yeah.
If they'd have been fair and balanced as they're supposed to under the BBC's charter.
Yeah. Now it seems that because you didn't take part and they were unable to get you on camera and to debunk you, that possibly that what happened to you next is linked to that.
Yes, I'm pretty sure.
Which is you were basically arrested for trying to pervert the course of justice.
Yeah, instead of trying to prevent them from perverting the course of justice.
So you were then, sometime after that, the British government successfully extradited you from Ireland under a European arrest warrant.
Yeah.
And then in total, tell us how long you spent in prison.
157 days.
So your trial in the UK for allegedly trying to pervert the course of justice was held in May 2011.
That's correct,
and
yes. From between the 9th and the 12th.
Okay, and you won that trial?
Yes.
So even though the judge, tell us what the judge was, how the judge behaved when he was directing the jury.
Well, he perverted the definition of the word pervert to the jury to try to convince them to convict me.
Right.
And he did it 3 times in his summing up to really try to drive the message home. And he told, everybody knows that the word pervert means to divert something from its rightful course.
Yeah.
Okay? But his definition was totally different.
Yeah.
Okay? He told the jury that in their legalese, which is their own language, which uses our words but have different meanings, he said that in legal terms, in this legalese language, that the word pervert means to influence. So that if I had tried to influence the court, either positively or negatively, then I was guilty.
So even influencing someone towards the truth, for example, he's saying it's pervert.
Yeah. It's pervert the course of justice. So he was perverting the definition of the word pervert to try to pervert the course of justice and get me convicted for trying to stop them from perverting the course of justice in the trial of those 3 young men.
All right, then. So since you've won that trial, you spent a little bit of time in London, and people were trying to persuade you to stay in London to kind of help with getting the truth out about 7/7. So eventually you've come back to Ireland. Can you tell us why you came back to Ireland? Why you didn't decide to stay in London?
Well, basically because I don't like London. I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I don't like it because it's crowded, because of all the pollution. You know, and it's nice to be in a country where there's lots of grass and trees and nature, and the air's clean and not the hustle and bustle. And you know, spending time in London and going into the tubes at rush hour where you like sardines, and everybody does that every day and thinks it's normal. I mean, it's terrible that people consider that to be normal, to be squashed in like sardines. You know, in a way, I'm safer here, I suppose.
Right. I was just going to say that if they do want to frame you or what have you, they've got to extradite you first.
Again, yes. Yeah.
All right. Well, since you've come back here, you've embarked on 2 projects. One that you've completed, which is a film called The Nazi Banksters' Crimes Ripple Effect.
That's
so
correct.
just tell us about why you've made a program about. Well, tell me first, what does the word Nazi have to do with bankers and banking? Just briefly.
Well, it's all explained in the film. The word Nazi is from the word Ashkenazi, okay, which are a Khazar nation of counterfeit Jewish people. They claim to be Jewish people, but they're not. They're not racially Jewish. And they basically are the money changers, really, and the bankers. They control the world's monetary system, and they use loans at interest to governments around the world in order to bankrupt the nations, and then they end up owning the resources and enslaving the people.
Okay. Well, if I am seeking to get that shown on Showcase, and if people want to watch that online, just tell people how they access it.
It's jforjustice.net/banksters, BANKSTERS, banksters.
Right. Okay. Now, at the end of that film, you put out an appeal for something that you're trying to gather support for in London on the 5th of November 2012.
Yes.
Briefly tell us about that.
Well, I want the people to assemble at Parliament and to help me and to support me in declaring a year of Jubilee. The proper Jubilee, not this fraudulent diamond Jubilee of the fraudulent Queen, so-called Queen. The real Jubilee is where all debts are cancelled and forgiven, and the wealth of the land and the land itself is redistributed equally back to the people, so that it totally eliminates debt and poverty.
Okay. Details of that can be found
Yeah.
on the same website that the film's at.
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Now we sat and watched your other film, Ripple Effect 2,
Yeah.
yesterday, and for people who have seen Ripple Effect 1, it's basically an extension of Ripple Effect 1, isn't it? So
Yeah,
7/7 Ripple Effect, which seeks to show what happened on 7/7, that it's an inside job, etc.
yeah.
And there are various pieces of evidence which are smoking guns pointing to this. So tell us about the new information that's in the film that wasn't in the original 7/7 Ripple Effect.
Well, a lot more information has come out since then, including came out at the sham inquest that was held by Lady Injustice Hallett.
Lady Injustice Hallett.
Yes, Injustice Hallett, yeah. Because they never looked into who carried out the attacks. It was a given that they, at the beginning of the trial, that the 4 alleged bombers were, again, without having been found guilty in a court of law, being found guilty by the media, that they, you know, she said that they were guilty, so they weren't going to look into that. So that was a grave injustice to begin with. And then in that there was lots of more evidence that came out, and I know that you've revealed some of it with Nicholas Collerstrom,
Okay.
who's an impeccable researcher.
We'll just hold it there, Muad Dib, because we're going to go for a quick break, but we'll continue talking about the new information in
Okay.
Ripple Effect 2 after the break.